All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Going to be a short week this week, obviously, with the holidays coming up. We have nothing on the calendar today. It's pretty empty. Tomorrow we have consumer confidence, new home sales, and FOMC. I forgot to mention FOMC in the summary of markets, but that is on Tuesday. It's just a minute. It's not an actual meeting. And then on Wednesday, really big day, we have GDP and PMI, PCE data, housing data, income data, spending data. It's a ridiculous day. So much data coming out on Wednesday. Then obviously Thursday, markets are closed. And Friday, markets are only open for a half day. So it should be a pretty interesting week. We packed in a ton of data into Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, so looking at ES real quick, we'll come back to it obviously, but markets are trading pretty aggressively up. ES is up nearly 1%, same thing with NASDAQ, 1.3 on Russell, nearly 1% on Dow Jones. Bitcoin down a little bit, oil is down 2%, gold is down 2% as well. We'll come back to these in a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at our sectors really quick. So tech sector trading a little bit up on the pre-markets. Next target would be around 238, putting in that higher low, trying to shift this trend from kind of a rollover top into just a normal uptrend here. So keep an eye out for that possible higher high. If it puts in a lower high, then it still kind of looks like a rollover. Healthcare sector was by far the weakest sector, is bouncing a little bit into that VWAP. If it can hold back above 145, doesn't look terrible. Still definitely in a downtrend, but you could start to break that channel if we start to hold above 145 to like 148. Definitely still bearish for now. The consumer staples looking pretty strong. Very strong day on Thursday. Very strong day on Friday. Looking to flip that resistance level around 82.50 to 82.60. If it can break and hold above that, look for that previous high around 84.50. Trying to break that downward channel here. Very strong break on Friday. Consumer discretionary looking pretty strong. Friday breaking out of this triangle here, kind of a bull flag. Bouncing beautifully off that 382, and then a very strong break on that Friday candle. So look for around 220 where it's kind of trading pre-market already, and then look for around 223 or higher. Another strong chart here on finance. Very strong day on Friday, and we're trading higher on the pre-market. Next target is, let's take a look here. Next target is around 52.50. So breaking out of that range, looking very strong so far. Energy, still holding this kind of vertical distribution, a little bit of a sloppy trend here. If it can hold above 97, looking for around 98.50, possibly 100. Real estate also trying to recover a bit of a downtrend here. You had a lower low come in, but it turned into a double bottom. Now we are breaking that range high, possibly going into that previous high structure. We do have a few data points this week for real estate, I believe on Tuesday and Wednesday. So keep an eye out for those. Moving on to the large caps here. Still trading in a pretty large balanced accumulation here. trying to bounce out of that POC, possibly back into that value high around 430. You can see a lot of that buyer value starting to build up above that POC. Apple, same thing here, but in a distribution, very large distribution node. We have a POC bounce looking for that upper node around 234. Facebook lost its distribution node. You lost that value low, retested it, and then sold. So Facebook looks pretty bad, to be honest. If it can't hold back above this, I'd say around 570 to 575, we're probably going to start trading pretty low, going for that gap fill around 538. Now, obviously, if everything else is going up, it's going to drag it higher. Netflix, the number one outperformer here, starting to break all of our targets. Our final target is 926. This all started from that triangle that we talked about way back in early November. Broke out of that triangle and just has not stopped. Amazon still kind of in a bull flag here. It would need to hold above 195 and then look for that gap fill around 211. Doesn't look terrible if it holds that 618, but it doesn't have a whole lot of support left. Tesla, let's take a look here. Kind of in a triangle breakout here. If it can hold above 364, we actually don't have any targets marked down. Let's go ahead and grab some. All right, next target would be 383 and then 400 even. Keep an eye on that kind of ascending trend. You can see those higher lows being respected. Nvidia pulled back a little bit after earnings. It did fill in that gap. The expected move was not hit. There was a very small earnings move. I think it only did about half of what they were expecting. Still holding that daily trail. If it loses that trail below 140, then we're going to look for those VWAPs around 125, possibly 135. Google really did not like that daily pivot. Had a daily pivot here, double topped, lower high, and then aggressively sold on Thursday. Look for that gap around 162, and then breaking that goes for that blue pivot all the way down here around 150. All right, let's take a look at ES and NASDAQ here. Okay, so if you watched or you read my closing statement last night, the trade plan is pretty much identical. We were looking for a P-shape breakout. We had a P-shape profile on Friday. Today is the breakout of that P-shape, extending the upper tail. We have a very large gap on the open of Sunday, which I was looking around for headlines. The only headline that I could really say would generate that large of a gap was the Secretary of Treasury. So Trump finally picked his Treasury Secretary, and most likely that is leading to that gap up. So gap is about, let me see here, it's about 14 points. But the problem is we're already running and we haven't filled in that gap. So that's a little dangerous. Can we see that gap on the daily? We definitely can. If the gap can be seen on the daily, it has a very high chance of being filled in rather quickly. Same day, next day, within the same week. Has like a 99% fill-in rate. I'm not exaggerating. It literally has about a 99% fill-in rate. We only have about, I'll say that percent probably went down a little bit. It's probably like 95 actually, because the the last couple of rollover gaps that we have not been filled in. So within the last year, pretty much has all of our open gaps on the daily. Every other year, going back decades, they're all filled in. So relatively recently, it hasn't been filling those in as much. But all right, so our trade plan is the same. We're just looking for a P-shaped breakout, looking for those targets. Next target is 60-40, 60-50, 58, and then probably around 6100. If you start selling on the open, if it starts to look very bearish, below 60.18, look for that rotation down to 08. Below 08, look for the gap fill. So possibly an overnight fade to the downside. But overall, this is a P-shaped breakout. So those buyers are in complete control for now. We'll say holding above, let's say, I'll say 20. Should look for 40, 53, and then where's that larger target? Around 90. We'll say holding below 18. Looks for that rotation into 07. And then the gap fill into 91. Rotation into 74. All right, same thing on NASDAQ. We have that P-shaped breakout. We have a couple of our targets already being hit, 981 and 046. Next target would be around 96 and 162. I don't know what's going on with TradingView. Wish it would load my profile. That'd be nice. Okay, so just now hitting that target at 45. I would say holding above 978, today's value high. Still bullish. Holding below that, rotation into today's value low, and then gap fill. All right, let me write up the trade plan really quick. I'll be right back. All right, trade plan is posted. Keep a close eye on this opening momentum here. See if they want to start an overnight fade. So far, it does look a little weak. We do have that 30-minute high being swept already. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Fox, Fred, Wick, Omar, Crypto, AT, Mescalito, Patriot, Blood. Good morning, Wolf, Angel, Techie, Scalp, Tim. Good morning, Yusuf, Matthew, Tamer, Morris, Mauser, Ali. Good morning, Friendly, Larry, Alan, Newen, Future, Health, Ty, Mule, Hello. Good morning, Simon, Oxy, Rob, Faraz, Joan, Echo, Ronaldo, LDM, Ken. Good morning, Creso, Leo, Angelo. Good morning, Zach, Aaron, John. Good morning, Tomas, Roman, Wesley. Good morning, Robert, J.E., Dark, and M. Appreciate you guys all being here. Good morning to everybody listening through Discord as well. Happy Monday. All right, so far we are seeing an overnight fade. A lot of sell pressure coming in out of the open. Keep an eye on that 30-minute low and that 30-minute high. So far, the high is being swept. The low is being taken out. Very strong fade so far. There's VWAP almost to the exact tick on NASDAQ. Here comes VWAP at 18 on ES. Breaking through VWAP pretty easily on NASDAQ so far. Look at the rotation for today. And then if it holds below that, look for that gap fill. Like I said, very high strike rate to fill in that gap either today or tomorrow. Here's VWAP on ES. Already retracing today's pre-market. Look for that gap around 879 if it continues. Gap is around 91 on ES. Let me go ahead and mark that out. Okay, VWAP being protected on ES, damn near to the point. A lot of buyers stepping in on VWAP. All right, very strong sweep so far. Not too many sellers being trapped on the low there, but a lot of buy pressure off of that ADMA on the 30-minute, which was also around VWAP. Keep an eye on that 30-minute high to be taken out. 30-minute low being protected around 25 now. Been seeing a lot of two-directional A sessions recently where you have a very strong move in one direction, then it just kind of reverses it. Good morning, Eddie, eBay, Elsie. Morning, Boat. No, I don't care about overnight single prints. I don't typically look for them. '24 EMA being back tested on NASDAQ, already broken on ES. Very strong bounce off of VWAP here. Looks like a trap. Well, obviously it's a little bit of hindsight at this point, but that sell-off bouncing right into VWAP trapped a lot of sellers there. '30-minute high being swept yet again. That bounce back into the 24 on NASDAQ actually holding up here. Sellers are protecting that level. Not fully convinced on this buy pressure just yet. That 1 minute candle's looking really ugly, sweeping that high. And we're still struggling on NASDAQ. We need to get some more value up here to convince me that this is actually a strong push. Very little buyer value in the middle here. Very little buyer value on the top. They need to do a better job either trapping sellers or building up buy pressure here. Right now, it looks like a two-directional stop hunt. We're hunting the high and we're hunting the low. I forgot to put up the reminder. Let me do that now. By the way, if you guys didn't see, I posted a ton of shorts over the weekend. I think it was like 5 videos, 4 or 5 videos. Be sure to check those out after stream if you guys haven't seen them. think I have like 4 or 5 still coming out this week. And we will have, there will be overlapping shorts where, like, you guys already seen, I have, I think, 2 on the vertical distribution already. There's not going to be, like, only one for every idea. There's going to be probably a lot of repeats. The shorts are obviously different, but same topic. Getting a little extended here. They really need to, well, they're kind of doing it as I'm saying it. I was going to say they really need to build up a lot more buyer delta up here. They need to build a node that they can protect. They don't really have a node right now. This node right here is more of a bearish node, kind of being trapped. Keep an eye on this cluster around 36. If they can protect that, doesn't look terrible. A lot more delta coming in on NASDAQ to catch up here, which is definitely helping. Good morning, Chadwick. Good morning, OP. What's the trade right now? There's not really a high strike rate trade right now. The market's very sloppy. The one that you had was a bounce off of VWAP. That was so far probably the best trade of the day. Or if you got in here very early, you could have shorted the bearish sweep. But other than that, we're kind of just waiting right now. There's not a high strike rate pattern in the last few minutes. This is the Addis platform. Here's a link if you want to check them out. They have a free trial. You just need to tie in your data from, there's many different sources, but they do not have direct data. You have to tie in your data from one of your accounts, one of your brokers. I have a series that talks about how to get them started if you need help on that. Check the order flow playlist. Yeah, that's just an indicator. That is the candle stats indicator. If you put in candle stat, just select volume and then delta, and then you're good to go. Okay, they're doing a much better job building up delta. You can see a bunch of bullish delta on the high here. You can see this volume starting to pick up. Pretty big node now. So now if they go into a sweep and they hold below like 33, it's much worse for the buyers because they have a top-heavy candle now. You can see how top-heavy we are because the POC is shifting to the high. So they have indicated that there is interest up here on the buy side. So if they start getting trapped, it's definitely not looking good. Just keep an eye on those EMAs. We could turn into a vertical distribution, which if you guys don't know what that is, check the shorts. I think we have 2 or 3 shorts on that already. What are the next few I have coming out? Let me see. I have a short on the capital B days. I'd have to check on the other ones. I can't remember what they were. I think it's like value retrace or something. All right, looking a little dangerous here for the buyers. Like I said, very top-heavy candle. So if they start sweeping with a top-heavy candle, that means that all these buyers up here are getting trapped. Hey man, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you enjoy it. Okay, still a little sloppy, but you are protecting the 8 and 24. So we're kind of in a vertical distribution here. As long as it holds on to like 31, 32 at this point, you're going to continue that vertical chop. No, I wouldn't look for a rollover top just yet. It's too early for that. Rollover top is it's a 3-leg pattern. We're still in the first leg. Looks like the bond market and the treasury market finally starting to do what they're supposed to be doing. The macro traders are calling it the Besson trade, because that's the guy's name, the Treasury Secretary. Yields are coming down, bonds are going up. Yields are down about 2 to 3% today. Pretty decent gap up on TLT in the bond ETFs. Is Nvidia having a bad day? Let me see. Yeah, it's the only one having a bad day, so it's not really affecting NASDAQ too much. I would like for Nvidia to come down, honestly. If it can come back down to like 120 or something. We closed all of our positions on Nvidia on the short-term account. I'd be willing to get back in for a wheel. Oh, I didn't see Tesla because I had it on the wrong chart. Let me fix that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Tesla is down about, what, 2%? Not looking too good here for the buyers up here. Yeah, I'm still holding Bitcoin. I'm not in a massive chunk right now, so I'm not too worried about local pullbacks. I probably wouldn't full close Bitcoin unless we started trading back below like 75. It's pretty extended. I could see a pullback to the 80s, mid 80s. Wouldn't really be too shocking of a pullback. When Bitcoin starts its bull cycles and it starts to run like this, it has pretty aggressive pullbacks in the beginning. You could see anywhere from like a 10 to 20% pullback, and then it will still go up. Not out of the ordinary. Yeah, I think it's like around 100, like 100 or 105. Yeah, candlestick patterns are all the same. It doesn't matter what time frame they're on. Most books are going to teach them on the higher time frames, but they're still the same on lower time frames. Looking very dangerous here for the buyers. They're trapping a lot of delta on that high. Look at that delta coming down here. This delta that I had marked out is being squeezed out. You can see that it's being squeezed because look at the delta drop. Really big delta drop here. Very dangerous to put that kind of bullish delta on the high and not protect it. Yes, historically, December and November are two of the most bullish months of the year. It's November, December, and April, I think, are the three best performing months. Now, obviously, we're in an election year, so that changes the cycle a little bit. I don't remember how December is on the election years. How does yields going down and bonds going up affect the market? Well, right now, they're not really affecting the market at all. Maybe today is probably the first day in a while they have actually affected the market. The correlation has been dead for quite a while. But what's supposed to happen is they're supposed to be inverse to a certain degree. But I wouldn't worry about it right now because the correlations are pretty dead. If the correlations start snapping back and we see that inverse correlation with the macro market, inverse correlations with the dollar and the bonds, then I'd be a little bit worried. But right now, they are not. They're not correlated. The yield market is heavily correlated in certain sectors. It's heavily correlated in, by the way, this is the squeeze we were talking about. So exactly what I said. You had that delta coming in very aggressively. They were not able to protect it. And now we are right back to VWAP. Look at that delta dropping here. We're down about 6K in delta because they're squeezing out those aggressive buyers on the high there. But yeah, the yields are very heavily correlated to the finance market, the energy market, and then the real estate and utilities market. The first two I mentioned are positive correlation. The second two are negative. The correlation with the growth sector comes and goes. So it's not a very strong correlation. Sometimes when the 10-year yield is just absolutely ripping, it's a negative correlation with the semiconductor sector. All right, keep an eye on VWAP here, trying to protect VWAP yet again. A little bit of a 1-minute sweep on that low. So that has already given you over a 15-point sweep on that high. I don't see that headline factor. Oh, I see it. It was about 15 minutes ago. Discussions over sending French and British troops to Ukraine reignited. Yeah, that headline was about 30 minutes ago, so that was about at the open. Oh, and by the way, Nvidia is most likely down because Amazon is still pushing to make their own chips. They want to pull back their reliance on Nvidia. And we're probably going to see that start to become a trend in the next few years because obviously these Nvidia chips are costing these companies billions upon billions of dollars. So once the gold rush comes to an end and these companies don't feel like they need to be buying hundreds, if not thousands, of NVIDIA chips just to keep up with their competitors, they're going to slow down their capital investment into NVIDIA and see if it's worth it to somehow build their own chips. But the problem is, even if they do that, they are years, if not decades, behind NVIDIA. Good luck catching up, you know what I mean? It's easier said than done, saying you're just going to go ahead and make your own chips. You're competing against one of the strongest companies in the world. Are we on a new contract month? No, not until I think it's like the second week of December, I believe is the rollover. When is the rollover? It is. Why is it not showing? Oh, I'm on the 30-minute, that's why. Next rollover is the 17th of December. Yeah, friendly. That's typically if you speed up YouTube streams by like 1.25, 1.5, it will get you the lowest possible latency. You're still probably going to get about a 3 to 5 second delay. But as long as you have stable internet and there's nothing going on with YouTube side, the delay should be less than 5 seconds in most cases. Yeah, Tom, I'm seeing AMD start to have their gold rush come in as well. Supposedly they've been destroying Nvidia in the gaming space recently, but Nvidia doesn't really care about gaming anymore. It's like less than 10% of their revenue. But supposedly AMD's new processors and video cards are very, very good. I don't really care. I'm not looking for a PC anytime soon, so I mean, knock on wood, hopefully my PC's all right. But if you guys are looking at new PCs, I'd take a look at them. I'm an Intel and Nvidia kind of guy. Usually, pretty much all my new PCs are Intel, Nvidia. But I heard AMD is doing much, much better. I heard their new processors are insanely good. Standard YouTube buffering for live streams is 10 seconds. It depends on which latency you have. So they give you different choices between like ultra low, low, and then like the standard. I am using the, I think, ultra low, I believe. I'm using the lowest one they let me use with 1440p, which typically gives you a 5-second delay. Okay, right now we are in that bear flag formation, bouncing back into the EMAs and VWAP. So far, sellers doing their job. As long as they can protect that high, they are definitely in control here, squeezing out those aggressive buyers on the high. When this calms down, I'll make a little teaching short about this sweep. Moving too fast right now, though. Yeah, good morning, Derek. SMCI has been moving. Is it still bouncing? Yeah, they're back to 40. That's crazy, man. I was debating buying some around like 20, but I just felt it was just too dangerous for... I hate trading headlines, you know what I mean? I'm not a news trader. And I feel like that was just becoming a news trade. Every single day it had some crazy headline. But yeah, in hindsight, obviously the buy at 20 would have been up nearly 100%. Too many headlines for me. I don't like trading headlines. I don't like trading earnings. I like trading the technical stuff, not the random events. Hey, Ken, that's awesome. I think I saw that. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you supporting the community. I'm glad you're getting value out of it. Yeah, I did not have time to update the website this weekend. I'm going to try my best to get it done today. But the code still works. It's just not on the front end. You can't see it on the front end. But the Black Friday code is Black Friday 2024. All one word, no spaces. It's good for 60% off, and that goes for anything on the website. Absolutely anything. The indicators, the Discord, the bots. So the only way I can make it work for the recurring stuff, if you guys are currently on a recurring discount, you can switch over to Black Friday. Whenever your sub is about to end, give me like a week's notice before it ends, and I can get you back on that that recurring 40%. There's no way for me to make it automatically drop down, unfortunately. Yeah, Black Friday 2024, 60% off everything on the site. All right, turning more into a lowercase b if we hang out down here. Bears trying to take control. This is that pre-market value around that 18 to 15 area. The same thing we were looking for on the upside, we are looking for on the downside here. Keep an eye on those EMAs, the 8 EMA, the 24 VWAP. Make sure the sellers are aggressively selling them as we bounce into them. You keep getting very extended because you're moving too quickly today. You're moving quicker than it should be, basically. With the current volume and volatility that we have, it needs to slow down a little bit. You guys have any constructive criticism for the shorts? You guys want to see any changes made, or any like editing changes, any font changes, kind of how we style them? Or do you guys like how we're doing them so far? We've already made a lot of changes since the first few that we put out. We made them full screen and changed how we do the subtitles and whatnot. I try to make them as easily digestible as I can. Trying to sweep the low here, but it's sweeping the low into a lot of resistance, so be careful on that. It's not as strong as, obviously, that bearish sweep on the high. Might still give you a small scalp here. Yeah, I try to stay away from the cringy stuff for sure. Yeah, the problem with making the shorts like the playbook videos is it's very hard to do that in a short format. It's very hard to do like a 1 to 2, 3-minute video on like a playbook entry. I'm gonna try to make one on today's sweep. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. They're a lot harder to put into a small format. The playbook videos being like what, 10 to 15 minutes long, that's about how short I want to make them when I'm talking about playbook setups like entries and exits, because there's a lot you need to explain. A lot of variables that go into it. Good morning, MP. Here's that little scalp I was talking about. So this bullish sweep is definitely giving you a little scalp, giving you about 5 to 6 points, but is it going to hold is the question. There's a lot of resistance up here on these EMAs. Yeah, here's that 135 support on NVIDIA. Possibly lower, honestly. Possibly could go down to around the 132 to 125. I don't think 125 today, but just on the overall trend. I talked about it last week. NVIDIA has our rollover top pattern that we look for on the scalping timeframes. It has that on the daily. So it's in a rollover top right now. Yeah, exactly, Tom. Like, cringy videos in the trading space are when people talk about like Lambos and trading on the beach and all that stuff. Quit your job to day trade. Or there's the cringy stuff with like indicators where they make a new indicator every single week. They're like, oh, this indicator is gonna trade for you and make you a millionaire in a few days. You know what I mean? Like all that shit. Just the brain rot style of content. People that don't admit that trading is possibly one of the hardest things you could possibly get into. You know what I mean? They try to tell you it's easy, so you'll jump into it and throw money at them. if they tell people it's hard, they lose viewers, right? My main goal with the channel is not to make you guys millionaires, it's to help you guys lose as little money as possible, right? I know losing money is very, very easy in trading, and I'm trying to prevent you guys from taking those giant losses. Obviously, if you can make money and become consistent, that's the end goal. But I'm not going to tell you guys that every single person in here is going to become a full-time consistent trader. Okay, there's that scalp. So the sweep gave you the scalp. Like I said, I didn't know if it was going to hold. You are hitting VWAP, hitting that 24, and the sell pressure is coming back. So still holding on to that bearish momentum here. Yeah, exactly, Rocket. Number one indicator, 100% win rate. All right, looks like the sellers are too strong, which is most likely due to that gap fill. If we start holding below that overnight low, keep an eye on that gap. Gap is around 91 on ES. Here comes the gap on NASDAQ, already nearly filled in. That gap goes down to 879. As I said, if those gaps can be seen on the daily, they have an extremely high strike rate. If you take out the gaps that we had in the last year, pretty much a 100% strike rate. The only gaps that are not filled in are the recent ones. Big bearish block starting to come in. Here comes that gap fill. Gap fill should be filled in on NASDAQ any second. Yeah, JE, it's going to be a weird week because we have the holiday week and they packed as much economic data as they possibly could into Wednesday. So the last day before the holiday, and basically the last day of the week, because Friday's a half day. You don't see a lot of trading volume on half days. They packed as much data as possible into that day. Good morning, David. Good morning, Olive. Good morning, MP. Not sure if I saw you earlier. But yeah, I'm glad you guys like the shorts. We're going to have some more flooding out this week. We'll probably have at least like 3 or 4 more coming out. So be on the lookout for those. All right, right now, all we're looking for is that gap fill. Gap fill is completed on NASDAQ. Still waiting on ES. Gap days are pretty easy because your main school of thought for that day is looking out for that gap. Looking for 91 here. You had that sweep turn into an overnight fade, turn into a gap fill, right? Good morning, Ink. Hey, Vulture, I appreciate you using the code, man. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you ever need help with sizing, be sure to check out my Apex sizing video if you're using that 50K account. I didn't forget on the other videos, guys. I've just been very busy. I'm trying to make the next 2 Apex videos pretty soon. Very busy around the holidays. Hoping to have at least one more of those videos out this week. Good morning, Polaris. Good morning, Batty. It's not a short, it's a longer video. It's called the Apex 50K sizing guide, I believe. I talk about how to size into that account, scale up, some simple drawdown rules to use, stuff like that. Keep an eye on these EMAs, 8 EMA and 24 being respected on this downtrend here. A little bit of bearish delta being absorbed on that 11 level. Keep an eye on that 30-minute low trying to be recovered at 18, which is where our POC is, a little bit higher at 20. Yeah, this is that area of the day where it's a little dangerous to trade, right? Because NASDAQ has filled the gap, but ES hasn't. So it's dangerous to be a buyer because we still have that gap kind of looming over us. So even if you get that buy pressure on NASDAQ, you're always like, I don't know, is ES going to go down and kind of stop out my NASDAQ trade? Do I expect a bounce back after the ES gap is filled? I don't expect it. You treat it like single prints, where you just have to wait and see where the delta, where the buy pressure or sell pressure is coming in once that level is filled in. Is it only a gap fill, right? Is the sell pressure very strong and then you hit the gap and then the sell pressure vanishes? If that's the case, then yes, you do expect a bounce back. But if there's just consistent seller delta going through the gap, then you don't expect it. You treat it the same exact way, because it basically is a single print for the most part. The idea behind them is the same. Is it important to look at the correlation in ES and NASDAQ? I would say yes. They for the most part, I'd say like over 90% of the time, they're following each other damn near bar by bar. The biggest things to watch is when one of them is breaking high of day and the other one isn't, and low of day, same thing. If one of them is aggressively trending with delta and one of them isn't, stuff like that. They don't need to be candle by candle exactly the same. but their overall market structure typically needs to be the same. Andreas, I have my own indicator on TradingView. It's completely open source. If you look up ATR improved by Oasis Trading, you can use the same one. It only took me like an hour to code it, so I figured I'd just make it open source. It wasn't complicated. Hey, Javik, let me take a look. I'm a little behind on emails. I've been getting absolutely spammed on my emails for some reason. I'm trying to dig through them. Let me see here. I don't see your email if your name is not the same on your email. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get through these today. If I don't respond to your email, that goes for everybody in here. If I don't respond to any of your emails by the end of today, just resend them. They're probably getting just spammed. Your email does have Chadwick in it. If it has Chadwick in it, I don't see it. So I would resend it. I don't think I see it. Yeah, no, I don't have that one. So double check you sent it to this contact email. And if you did, just go ahead and resend it. I get spammed with like bot emails and people that are trying to make me shill crypto and people who are trying to do marketing on my YouTube, and it's just a nightmare. So the people that actually have valid emails get kind of pushed down. If you guys are in Discord, it's always easier to reach me in Discord if you guys are a Discord member. If you're not a Discord member, then yeah, just use the email. Keep an eye on that 24. Still holding, sell pressure starting to slow down quite a bit. Sellers are still trapped at 10 and 12. Yeah, Echo, you might be having analysis paralysis, right? They call it that when you have like too many charts, too many indicators, just too much going on. You're doing too much analysis, so you're kind of talking yourself out of every single trade because there's always going to be like one indicator or one reason why you shouldn't get in the trade if you're doing too many um if you're doing too much analysis, right? Called analysis paralysis, and it happens to a lot of traders. Hey, JE, the TPOs on TradingView are pretty good. They're actually not bad at all. You have to fiddle with the settings a little bit to get them to look like a standard TPO. But overall, pretty solid. I have a video on my channel. It's called like TradingView's market profile or TradingView TPO, something like that. And I talk about how to set it up and get the settings right. Yeah, overall, it's really not bad. I prefer Addis because you can do a lot more little tweaks. You can change the colors a lot more and just looks better. But I do use TradingView every now and then. How can I identify the sell pressure got reduced? You can just tell by how it's moving. It's moving very slowly. There's not a lot of delta. The tape is not seeing a bunch of sell orders come in. You can see the delta slowly climbing. We're not seeing any sharp seller candles. Just pretty much everything. Everything is just showing you that the sell pressure is weak. It's kind of in a bear flag. The sellers are still in control, but they're slowing down. Yeah, Quantower is very good. I used them for quite a while, actually. I used them for like a year or two before switching to Addis and NinjaTrader and stuff like that. I use them for crypto though. I never use them for futures. News in a few. What's going on? I don't see any headlines or anything for today's calendar. Yeah, sorry about the Black Friday stuff being confusing, guys. I was getting some messages in Discord about it. Um, the Black Friday code for the website is Black Friday 2024. If you guys are currently on the Addis code is 40% off. The Black Friday code is 60% off. The problem with the Black Friday code is it's not recurring, right? So if you have the Addis code right now and you want to use the Black Friday code, our website should let you override it. If you go into your account, if you go to extend your subscription or upgrade it or something like that, it should let you override it using the new code. If it doesn't, go ahead and send me an email or message on Discord. I can help you out. And then when that Black Friday code is getting ready to expire, like let's say you buy the monthly, it's going to expire in 30 days. So 1 week before that expires, just send me a message and I can get you re-added to the address code. Unfortunately, I know it's confusing. That's the only way I could do it. Last year, we didn't have a code running into the Black Friday code. That's why it's so confusing this year. Because we already had a promo code, and now we're shifting to another promo code. But yeah, it should let you upgrade. It should let you override it. Yeah, it lets you upgrade using it, Ken. Nice, thank you. No, this is not a vertical distribution. It kind of is. I see what you're saying. But vertical distributions happen on highs. So you only look for that pattern on an up move like that. Same pattern candlestick wise. I see what you're saying, where it's kind of choppy and it's pushing up. But this would be more of a bear flag. So we have a big move down, and then we have the bear flag into VWAP. So big move down, bear flag into VWAP. We're pushing back up in a choppy manner back to VWAP there. Yeah, Tim, same schedule. Up until Thursday, I will not be streaming Thursday. Obviously, no market. I have not decided on Friday. It's usually a case by case basis for me on Black Friday. Depends on how busy I am with the holidays. I don't typically trade very actively on half days. I kind of treat half days as like a holiday. I'll let you guys know on Wednesday. Thursday, definitely not streaming. Friday, about a 50-50 right now. I'm not sure. Okay, this is pretty much a textbook bear flag in the VWAP. You did not touch VWAP on NASDAQ, unfortunately, but you are testing it damn near to the exact tick on ES and failing beautifully here. I'll make a short about this before we close the day. So remind me before I forget. If I try to end the stream and I forget about the shorts, remind me. I'll make a short on the sweep here, and I'll make a short on that bear flag in the VWAP. Yes, Friday should be a half day. Let me double check. I'm almost certain it is. So here are the holidays. So we have Thanksgiving. It has that double asterisk there. Let's see. Yep, it's closing early on Friday, November 29th. Okay, so where we had those absorbed sellers earlier, we're still absorbing a lot of volume there. Look at that block that came in on that same level. Notice how they protected that 30-minute high with only like 2 ticks to spare there. Still looking for that gap fill on ES coming up pretty soon, around 91. Yeah, the calendar for this week is absolutely absurd. Tuesday, we have FOMC minutes. Wednesday, we have a ridiculous amount of data. Thursday, obviously a holiday. And then Friday, a half day. Not a whole lot going on tomorrow, besides the FOMC. Consumer confidence at 10 o'clock, new home sales. Yeah, it's actually pretty big as well. Consumer confidence, 10 o'clock, new home sales, Richmond Manufacturing Index, and the FOMC minutes. So realistically, today's the only day where we're not swamped with data. You know what I'll do? On Wednesday, we'll leave the stream up all day because it's such a busy day. And we're not going to be streaming on Thursday, so I'll hang out all day on Wednesday. And then tomorrow will just be normal. What made me switch off QT? Nothing really. There was nothing bad about QT. I think I just was testing out different platforms. And I just slowly moved off of it. It wasn't like anything in particular. You should be able to. If I believe Quant Tower has block trades. Just look up a block trade indicator. It might be called big trades, block trades, cumulative trades. I don't know, something. I'm using 300 on that indicator. So anything larger than 300 will pop up. They also get highlighted over here on the tape. So those contracts were pretty big. 350, 1400, 1100, 500. Yeah, it does seem like there's an iceberg or like a really large order around 6010. They keep absorbing it. It's called Power Trades in QT. Thanks, Sam. Very choppy move. Yeah, Paul, you're not kidding, man. The first 30-minute session today was rough. For the second session, I guess you would say. Yeah, the tape is always a thing that's like, I'm watching in my peripheral, right? I'm not staring at it. I've just kind of trained myself to look at it in kind of like the corner of my eye where I'll watch the footprint, and I'll just kind of glance over and check how we're doing on the tape. Like right now, it's very green, right? You can see just a ton of green orders coming in. I pay attention to the speed mostly when it starts to speed up around important levels. Kind of how we sped up around VWAP. He started pushing into VWAP and then started selling, and it sped up very quickly. Hey, Seba, I'm glad you enjoy the content, man. Appreciate it. Bit of a bulldog forming here, double bottom with a curved back. So we have the first half of the bulldog. We'll see if the second half comes in. The second half would be popping up into VWAP, possibly pulling back and putting in the head of the bulldog. This is a POC trade, so very choppy. Very sloppy price action today. Be careful trading this POC node. A lot of chop around 25 to around 15. Yeah, today's definitely a day where if you got your money early, you want to be very careful not to give it away. It's a trappy day. They're trying to trap everybody possible. You had a couple of really good trades. You had the sweep, you had the VWAP trade, you had the gap fill on NASDAQ. The gap fill was really nice. But the little trades, you are going to get chopped out. There's just way too much chop here. They are hunting liquidity today. They're looking for that all-time high liquidity. They're trying to hunt the stop losses. Well, yeah, normally if the POC is above you and the VWAPs are above you and you're bouncing back into them, that means that you're bearish, right? If you're bouncing back into retest those descending levels, the sellers are in control. So more often than not, they would be protecting those levels, which we've already seen today. We had that incredible back test of VWAP right there. We talk about this trade very often on the stream, where we have very strong sell pressure in the morning. I'll make a short about this later. But we have very strong sell pressure in the morning open. You bounce back into that session VWAP or that daily VWAP, and then the sellers take over again. You don't see it as much on the buy side, because the bullish days, when you're very bullish, it's rare. It's a lot harder to come back to VWAP. We did see it today. You damn near got an exact tick retest of VWAP right at the open. But it's much rarer to see on the buy side. They love doing it on the sell side. Hey, hello. Have a good day, man. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so this would be the head of the bulldog if it does not go any lower. It cannot go any lower. It has to immediately bounce right here. If it does not bounce here, the bulldog is invalidated. Big run in Russell. Let me take a look. Oh, you're not wrong. It's up 2.5%. Yeah. You do have a gap in Russell as well. Is that like a finance run? What's going on with the sectors? Yeah, finance running, consumer staples running, and real estate running. Yeah, so and discretionary. Yep. So a lot of the Russell sectors are doing well. Tech sector's a little weak. Looks like energy's coming down a little bit. Pretty nasty sell on Netflix. Selling on Nvidia as well. Not too bad on Apple. You can see a nice little trend on Apple here. No, I wouldn't say it's opposite. The only time they run opposite is when they're seeing very large sector rotations. If you're seeing a really heavy sell in like semiconductors and high growth stocks, and then you're seeing like the staple companies, the lower caps, the finance sector, stuff like that. If you're seeing all those run, then you see a kind of an inverse when they're rotating. Hey, Robert, glad to hear that, man. That's awesome. But no, if you look at their charts long term, they do not run opposite. There's still the same trend. That's one of the big debates in trading that people just don't agree on is like what leads, right? Does the smaller caps lead? Does the NASDAQ lead? Does the S&P 500 lead? Does the Dow lead, right? There's so many different groups. They don't agree on which index is the number one leader. And I don't really care to pick. I think it's day by day, really. Like what sector is leading that day? I think if I had to pick one, I would obviously pick NASDAQ because NASDAQ has the heaviest weighting in the growth sector, and the growth sector is obviously just absolutely propping the market up right now. We've seen days where every single sector is red. The large stocks like Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft are green, and the market is still going up. And that's just the nature of the market cap, right? They are very, very large. The company by itself, like Nvidia, Apple, they're larger than entire sectors. That's the nature of the beast. Yeah, there you go. Kevin just said what I was saying. Exactly. Yeah, you have companies that are larger than sectors, and that's the problem, right? Still holding below VWAP. Keep an eye on those lows. You have a couple of lows, 15 and 12. Looks like a lot of absorption still happening at 10. So if they lose 10, starts to get very dangerous, possibly going for that gap fill. Keep an eye on the 30-minute close. They might be waiting for that 30-minute candle to close before they push down. Because if they don't wait, they will form single prints on the way down. Yeah, we are definitely in a triangle, exactly. 30-minute triangle and a 1-minute triangle. When it gets real choppy like this, the best thing you can do is zoom out, right? You don't want to be zoomed in staring at these choppy candles like this. You need perspective, right? You need to look out and see what's going on. You need a bigger lens. Those are block trades. So anytime it puts in a big circle, it's just a really large trade. The larger the circle, the larger the trade. So like these small circles are pretty small trades. Those are probably about 300 contracts. These ones are over 1,000. Capital B in the profile. Today's cash profile is, it's probably the closest would be a capital B. I would say it's almost lowercase b. And then what's the full session? Full session is, yeah, I'd say it's more of a lowercase b because the lower node is much larger and there is no lower tail. Yeah, the Bulldog's not completely invalidated just yet. It's bouncing pretty much at the lowest possible level. I don't really like the Bulldog trade, honestly, because the this trade in particular, I mean, because you have POC right above you, you have VWAPs right above you. We've already seen the sellers have a very strong ability to sell around 18 to 20. All right, keep an eye on the break of these lows here. You're looking for around 10 to see if that absorption is still there. If you lose 10, keep an eye on that 30-minute low, which is currently, let's see here, 6,005. Failing a 30-minute pivot way up at 27. 1 hour putting in a new pivot. 4 hour failing a pivot at 32. So a lot of pivots around 30. I don't like those levels. Hey, Matthew, have a good holiday, man. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. We'll see you back on Monday. Yeah, I don't look at my viewership number throughout the day, eBay, but I appreciate it. It's awesome to see that many people in here, especially on a holiday week. If you guys enjoy the channel, make sure to subscribe. I do stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. This week is obviously a little bit different with the holiday. I will not be streaming on Thursday and possibly on Friday. I'm not sure yet. Friday is still a 50-50 for me. Just hard to be a buyer on ES until that gap is filled. Still looking for that gap around, what, 20 points left. Is Black Friday out? If you mean for my website, yes, it is. I just haven't fully updated the website yet. So the code works, you just don't see the code on the front end. The code is Black Friday 2024. I'm going to try to have the website finished today. It should be done by the end of the day. The only difference with the website is it's just a banner that pops up that will remind you guys. But the code still works. Yeah, Fatal, it's gonna keep going away, unfortunately, man. There's no way for me to automate it. So yeah, you're just gonna have to send me another message. It's kind of annoying. I understand it's annoying for you guys. It's also annoying for me, right? There's just no way for me to automate it, unfortunately. The Substack is still like it's still a work in progress. Like, I don't know if we're going to continue to do the Substack the way that we do it. But if I ever stop doing the Substack, we'll just find another way to do the trade plan. Another email service or something. I'm not sure. I haven't fully decided on the Substack yet. Hey, Adam, I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you enjoy the content. I'm glad to hear. Yeah, basically what we're watching for the 10 level is there was a lot of seller orders coming in on the first attempt, and then you bounced really aggressively out of it. Same thing with the second attempt. They tried again, a lot of sell orders, bounced out of it, right? Now we're trying to break it again. So this absorption is most likely over. It looks like it's over. So it looks like the sellers are winning this battle here. Substack is annoying. It always asks for a password via email, even off Discord. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure. Not sure if we'll continue that going into next year. I'll have to see what we do. Obviously, if you guys bought the annual sub or something on Substack, I will definitely compensate you guys. Get you guys added to Discord or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a pain in the ass on the back end. I like the program though. I like being able to send you guys daily trade plans, and I like how we're doing it. But there might be a better way to do it. You know what I mean? That might be the problem. All right, that triangle is trying to break downward. Keep an eye on those EMAs as you push down here. The delta on the sell side is extremely weak right now, especially for a break like this. Typically, when you're seeing a break of this nature that's trying to break market structure, we should be spiking in delta. And obviously, the spike in this case would be to the downside. But we're not, right? We're not seeing that spike. So they need to get some more sell pressure here. Trying to put in a bullish sweep here, but once again, the delta's even low on the buy side. There's really not a lot of delta coming in right now. What's our 5-minute volume? 5-minute volume's a little bit low, especially for this time of day. I don't really look at the numbers too much, to be honest. I don't look at the delta numbers because there's so many variables that go into it, right? We could have an extremely bullish day and it could be negative in delta. Or we could have an extremely bullish day, it could be positive 30K to 40K delta. So you can't always say just because we're positive in delta that we're going to be up a certain amount of points. There's way too many variables that go into it. I don't pay attention to the number too much. I mostly pay attention to just the market structure, the overall trend. Hey, Robert, the code for the website is 60% off. And that goes for every single thing on the website. Black Friday 2024, no spaces. I would say this triangle is not being respected because there was no spike in delta when it broke that triangle. Still getting absorbed on that 10 level. Sellers are not able to find any pressure below that 10 node. They very likely could shift the POC down if they keep trading here. I don't know, Robert, off the top of my head what it comes down to. But yeah, you'd have to check with the site. Just put the 60% off code and you'll see what exactly comes down to. Am I profitable? No, I lose every single day, actually. I enjoy trading, and I just love losing money. It's like a weird addiction. Been losing every single day live for, I don't know, like 7 years. For some reason, people still like watching me. I don't know what it is. Quit making fun of my hobby. Yeah. It's just a hobby. We like losing money. Yeah. Thank you, Ken. Losing money trading makes one's day job more relevant. There you go. Yeah, it's a hobby, right? You lose money trading, so you work harder at your day job. That's a good way to look at it. That's a good answer, Mauser. That's for me to know and you to find out. Yeah. Hey, David, the code is not recurring. So what's going to happen is if you use the Black Friday code, you can go from the 40% off code that we have right now to 60% off. And then when you want to go back down to 40, if it's about to, if your Black Friday is about to expire, let's say you got the monthly, if it's about to expire, just send me a message a couple days in advance and I'll put you back on the 40% off. Unfortunately, there's no automated way to do that on the Memberful site. It'd be a lot easier if there was. Josh, I trade anywhere from 1 to 3 times a day typically. If I'm trading over 3 times, I'm having a very active day. I'm not a micro scalper. I look for large trades. My average trade time is 45 minutes to an hour. I've had trades where I've opened them around the open of the day and held them pretty much into the close. Now that's very rare. That'd be like a extremely long trending day that's not stopping out my trails and stuff like that. But I do not mind holding trades. I don't time constrict to my trades, right? If there's no change in market structure, there's no like reason for me to exit the trade, I will just let it keep going. There's no time constraint on my trades. So that's why I don't trade very much. I don't have 10, 20, 30, 100 trades a day. It's become that way because I just don't like scalping. Like mentally it drains me. But it's also just kind of a part of the stream where it's much easier for me to take these longer trades and not have to sit here and monitor the chart every single minute. Monitor my trades, I mean. much easier for me to interact with Chad and still trade at the same time. But mostly it's because it's just mentally exhausting. If you guys watched my stream way back in the day, I've been streaming since 2018, so it's been a long time. We used to micro scalp on Bitcoin, on crypto, on a little bit of futures here and there. It's just draining, man. I can't do it every day. It's just mentally exhausting. The way that I trade is sustainable, it's consistent, and I'm not killing myself, right? Like, it's not just mentally draining me. Some days I will say are still mentally draining, even if you don't trade that much. But yeah, it's not as bad as taking 100 trades a day. I just can't mentally take it. Too exhausting. Hey, Richie, have a good day, man. No, the Bulldog is completely dead at this point. Trading done right is really boring. Yeah. That's what I was telling my buddy who does my editing now. I was talking to him about like how trading streams, trading content can be exciting, but usually when it's exciting, you're doing something wrong, right? You're like kind of treating it more like gambling than you are treating it like an actual job. If you're doing it as a job, it shouldn't be exciting. I mean trading, right? Like it's not very exciting. We're staring at rectangles all day. It's not really exciting. Yeah, if you have to send me the emails for the Apex raffle, is this the last week of the month? I don't think it is, right? We still have a little bit left on next week. Let me see. Oh no, it is the last week. Okay. I was thinking next week on Monday we still had. It's the 25th. Okay, yeah. So this is the last week. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, raffles. If you guys signed up for anything using our code in November, if you signed up for Apex using the Brew code or the LNVG code, or if you signed up for Addis, go ahead and start sending me those emails, and I'll get you guys added to the raffle. If you guys are new here, we do a raffle every single month. I give away cash prizes. I give away Discord access. All you have to do is use our code BREW, or use the Addis link as well. Screenshot those emails, send them over to me, and I'll get you guys added. Every 50K account is one ticket. So if it's a 100K account, you get 2 tickets, so on and so forth. Here are the details on that. Here's my contact email. Yeah, we do a raffle every single month. I'll go ahead and pull those next week. If you guys are signing up for Black Friday and you win the raffle, I'll just go ahead and extend your membership. Yeah, Derek, so the 60 days access, that's for the partnership for people who are just signing up. So like if it's your first time using the code and you haven't gotten access to the trading bots, the OTS, or the Momo, I give you guys 60 days access to help you guys get funded. If you still need a little bit more time and you haven't gotten funded in that 60 days, just go ahead and send me an email. Send me an email saying, hey, I need a little bit of an extension. Here's my most recent receipt. And I'll give you guys some more days, right? The whole goal is to help you guys get funded, right? So if you need a little bit more time, that's perfectly fine. Not for the raffle, no. The resets and the paid account fees do not count. I don't get a commission from your paid account fees, I don't believe. I don't think I get any commissions for anything that revolves around a paid account. I think I only get commissions on the evaluation stuff. Hey, Mac, it's completely up to you, really, man. It's just personal preference at that point, because their charts are going to trade the same way. He asked if it's better to trade spot or futures with crypto. I would say the futures charts, if you're trading like on, I don't even know, what's the broker that people use nowadays, like the big futures broker, they keep changing them. Because FTX is gone, Binance you can't use as a US citizen. You can use Coinbase, but they don't really have, they don't have the same type of futures that I was going to recommend. A little bit different on Coinbase. But Coinbase is probably all right. But yeah, it's really just personal preference at that point. Their charts are going to be pretty much identical. Yeah, Kraken, I think Kraken's one that you can use as a US. Obviously, there's some you can just slap on a VPN. Hey, Wesley, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, you can trade crypto on Apex. So if you're doing crypto on Apex, you can do CME, the CME Bitcoin futures. Yeah, there is a big difference in the data. So I would say it depends on which broker you're using, right? Which data feed you're using. They're going to have different liquidity, right? So if you're trading the order flow side on futures, you want, if you can, trade the highest possible liquidity pool. So whichever broker is getting the most volume, basically. But obviously in the US, we're blocked from trading a lot of brokers, so it's hard to say. Keep an eye on NASDAQ hitting VWAP to the exact point right now. A lot of bullish delta coming in. Yeah, we can't trade on Binance, unfortunately. They have Binance US, but I don't think it has the same liquidity. I'm not sure. I have not actively traded crypto in a long time. Like, I don't day trade crypto anymore. I only long term kind of invest. Mauser, yes, I believe you can. I think they lower the amount of accounts you can have if you're registered as a business. I believe it's like 10 or 15 instead of 20, I believe. Yes, Zach, you can trade any time of day with Apex. You just cannot hold overnight. Yep, so exactly what I said earlier. If we traded on this 10 level for much longer, it was going to lower that POC. There's so much absorption going on that 10 level. That POC is finally coming in. So it still looks like a bulldog is forming. So now we have a much larger bulldog. We had a smaller bulldog around, where was it? It was like this one here, this smaller one here. So now this is becoming one giant bulldog. So we have a bottom here, curved back, and now we're popping up.
So look out for this larger bulldog. It's kind of going from a 1-minute bulldog to a 5-minute. So if we pop up into VWAP and then sell a little bit, it might start a new one. They'll have that lowercase b-shaped day looking for the gap fill. This sweep, so whenever you have a sweep like this, where you are protecting another 30-minute low, it's not that dangerous because you can put your stop below that low and feel pretty safe. Now, obviously, in this case here, you're not looking for a gigantic sweep. You're not going to go all the way back to high of day. But that could give you an easy 5-point scalp, which it already has, right? Basically, when you're taking a sweep, you just want to take a look at where the stop loss should be. So in this case, your stop is about 5 to 6 points away. Not even, let me see, what is it? It's like 5, right? Yeah, it's like 3 to 5 points away, which is a very good stop. And you need to ask yourself, can I get 5 points out of that? Like, can I get a 1-to-1? Can I get a 1.5 to 1, right? Can I get like 5 to 7 points? And I think the answer is yes. I think you could easily get 5 to 7 points here, which obviously in hindsight you did. But the reason I would say yes in this case, even if it was in hindsight, is look at where VWAP is. Look at where the range high is. So this sweep is all the way down around 08. The range high is around 18 to 20. So getting 5 to 7 points there should be fairly easy. And another thing is, we're building up a gigantic POC node here. And the value is going from 08 to 24. So you would think, okay, if we're going to keep rotating this POC, that should be fairly easy for me to get 5 to 7 points. Really large block trade coming in there, 2,600 contracts at 14. Look at that delta just shooting down with that block trade. That was a very good block because they did not take any slippage. Not a single tick of slippage on that trade there. Now the market started moving, obviously with that block, but look at the block here. No slippage on that trade. right, we're taking a sorry, we're coming into that 11:30 here. So let me take a small little break here and make some shorts for you guys. So we were going to talk about that sweep at the start of the day. And we were going to talk about the bear flag and the VWAP. So let's go ahead and talk about those. This sweep, actually, I'm going to have to talk about on this chart because I need to show the... Why is it auto-scaling? Let me... One sec. I hate when it does that. Let me just turn this off for now. All right, that should be good. All right, so if you guys haven't already, be sure to check out my How to Trade Sweeps videos. We got a couple of videos that will go over this trading pattern. But for now, let's take a look at how we could have traded this 30-minute sweep right out of the open. So what you want to look for on the 30-minute time frame are these very long wicks that kind of break the previous candle's high. So in this case, you don't want them to be too long. You want them to be about 5 to 7 points usually, so we can put our stop loss above that wick and feel comfortable. So it's when you're taking out that previous candle's high, you put in that 5 to 7 point wick. In this case, it was about a 6 point wick. So that's about as high as you want it to be. And then we retraced back below that 30-minute high. A couple of things you want to look for on that sweep is on the high end. This is a bearish sweep, right? Because we're breaking that 30-minute high and we're retracing back below it. So on the high end, we want to look for trapped buyers. And if you guys are using a delta chart, what you want to look for are those green orders coming in, those delta buyers. So we know that there were a lot of buyers on that high, but look at the volume. The volume on that high is on the right side, by the way. The delta's on the left side. The volume starts to fall off rapidly on that high. So they did not do a good job building up a volume node as they were pushing up the price there. So they started to get a little bit top heavy as they broke that 30-minute high. But then most of that delta coming in was actually bearish. It was not bullish. And then on the highest point of the candle, that is where you had that bullish delta coming in, and they did not get a single point of profit. So we know they are trapped. We have all these bullish market orders coming in, which could be stop losses. They could be people opening trades, or they could be shorts getting stopped out. They did not get any profit whatsoever. So all of those contracts that are not shorts getting stopped out, that are those buyers opening trades, they are now trapped. They are stuck on that trade from 38 to 40, and they did not get any profit. So as price begins to fall, what do? They have to close their trade. If I'm a buyer and I have to close my trade, what am I doing? I'm selling, right? So as you push back down, you see that sell pressure start to ramp up. Look at the sell pressure here as you begin to lose that 30-minute high. So we break the 30-minute high, we have that stop hunt, and then we come back down and we see all of those buyers that were stuck on the high or stuck inside that wick start to close their positions. We see that seller delta start to come in. And that also could be people selling to enter a trade. It doesn't have to be all the buyers exiting their trade. Usually a combination of both is what gives you those really fast sell-offs. So we see a large influx of seller delta here just below that 30-minute high, and that obviously gives you that really large move down. Okay. So look out for that 30-minute sweep pattern, breaking the prior high, and then sweeping, retracing back below that 30-minute high. All right, do you guys have any questions about that one? So long story short, this is not going to be a part of the short. This is just for you guys on the stream. Long story short, you look for a break of that prior 30-minute high. You look for a wick. You want it to be typically less than 7 points because that's where you want to put your stop loss. You don't want to have like a 10-point stop on these. So this is about as long as you want it to have, as long as you want it to be. You don't want it to be much longer than that. If it's only like a 1 or 2 point wick, that's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be 5 to 7. If the wick is very long like this, you typically want there to be trapped buyers. So in the seller case, right, this is a seller sweep. You want there to be some trapped buyers somewhere inside that wick, typically on the high. By the way, we're selling off here. Be a little careful. So if the buyers are trapped on the high, that gives you more fuel for the fire, right? It gives you more fuel for that push down. The last thing you want to look for is when you really start to sweep, when you have that break of that 30-minute high, that re-break to the downside. We want to see the opposite side of delta. So we want to see that seller delta coming in. And that's exactly what you saw. Look at that seller delta, insane seller delta when you came back down there. Okay? So that is the bearish sweep pattern. One thing I forgot to mention in the short, which I probably should have mentioned, is, I think I did mention it actually, you want to put your stop above the high usually. So you want your stop to be up here, and then you want to be targeting anywhere around 1.5 to 2.0. So if your stop is 5 points, you want to be targeting 7 to 10. Okay? All right. The next one is the bearish VWAP trade. Let me actually keep an eye on ES real quick, and we'll come back to that. I do have my template for NinjaTrader Henry, but I have not traded on NT for over a year, so my template might be it might be outdated. Big block trade with no slippage. What does that mean? So what slippage is when you have a big order trade on a level, and instead of staying on that exact level, let's say I put in a big order at 6,000. And then as my order gets filled, it goes down to, let's say, 98, 97. Because my order was so large and I marketed that order, it pushed the market down multiple points before filling me. It wasn't able to fill my entire trade at one price. Now, obviously, for us retail guys, that's never going to happen. But for the larger traders, the big boys, the hedge funds and stuff, they're going to cause a little bit of slippage here and there. All right, keep an eye on that gap fill down to 91. Hey Zach, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Yeah, we got a few more shorts coming out. I think we have like 3 or 4 more we're still making. It's going to be a never-ending flood of shorts. As long as my editor wants to keep doing them, we'll keep putting them out. I try to make at least 1 or 2 a day. I try to give you guys at least like 1 or 2 teaching moments throughout the day. Obviously, we teach like the entire stream, but I try to actually make it a video at least 1 or 2 times a day. Okay, right now we are going from a lowercase b into a D shape, right? We're extending that lower tail to turn the profile more into a bell curve, where the POC, the bulk of the volume is in the middle, and then it falls off towards the top, falls off towards the bottom. All right, keep an eye on the EMAs here, just pushing you down into that gap fill. My throat's getting a little sore, so let me go ahead and make this short really quick. What's the best way to do this? Let's see here. It's hard to fit this into a short screen. It's going to be hard to keep this in one little screen here. Let's see. That's probably the best I can do. All right, so for the bear flag trade, this is a very common trade that we see in ES and NASDAQ, mostly in NASDAQ. Today, the ES example is a lot cleaner, so we're going to use that for today's example. But basically what we're looking for on this bear flag trade is right around the open. Let's say we open up here at 9:30 in the morning. Typically, you will have a strong sell-off. This can occur either right away or after a push-up. So we could push up and then have a strong sell-off, or we could just immediately start selling off right out of the open. Either scenario, let's say we sell off right out of the open. And let's say VWAP is kind of trading pretty sideways. And then we bounce back into VWAP. This will create that bear flag. If you guys don't know about the bear flag pattern, very common pattern. You have a sell-off, and then you have a slow kind of grind back up. And it looks like a flagpole, right? That's why they call it a bear flag. And that would be a bull flag. This would be a bear flag. So you have a strong move down, and then you have a slow kind of choppy grind back up. And typically with bull flags and bear flags, as they're chopping, you want to look for either EMAs or some kind of indicator that they're kind of chopping into. So in this case, we look for VWAP. So you have a strong move down. You try to bounce into VWAP, doesn't quite hit it. Tries to bounce into VWAP again, doesn't quite hit it. So that means you're still going down, right? Still downtrending. Then we have that chop back up, and then right there, we test VWAP. By the way, the red line on my chart is the VWAP that starts at 9:30 in the morning. The blue line on my chart is the VWAP that starts at 6 p.m. Eastern the prior day. I call the one that starts at 9:30 the cash VWAP or the daily VWAP. The one that starts at 6 p.m. Eastern the prior day is the session VWAP. It's the full session. Now, typically with this trade, you want to be looking for the session VWAP. But if the daily VWAP has had at least 30 minutes or so, maybe 15, 30 minutes of data, you can use the daily VWAP. The reason you want to use the session VWAP is it has way more data. That VWAP has been trading for the entire day. It's a more solid support and resistance line. Okay. So right there, you have that bear flag into VWAP, and then you look for a sell. So you have that push down, bounces up, hits that VWAP. You look for a sell on that VWAP. Stop loss above VWAP. Typically, you want to put it above a prior high. So in this case, probably around this level here. And then you just look for the move down. You look for that continuation of the trend. So you look for the daily low. Maybe we have some value levels below us, whatever it may be. You just look for the continuation of that down move. Most of the time, you are going to be targeting that prior low. So in this case, we would have been targeting that low right there. You did bounce a little early, bounced a little early, and then you finally got it. Okay, just to recap. Strong move out of the gate, bounces up, hits VWAP, you look for that sell, stop loss above prior highs, and then you're looking for that prior low, wherever you bounced before you hit VWAP. The same trade could be used in a bullish sense if you have a strong move out of the gate and you start to bounce off of VWAP. But what I've noticed, especially on ES and NASDAQ, it doesn't like that bullish trade as much. And you can actually see it here. It did not like that bullish trade on VWAP. It typically likes the bearish trade a lot more. So I would look for the bear flag into VWAP a lot more than the bull flag into VWAP. All right, do you guys have any questions on the live stream? You guys have any questions about that? Basically exactly what I said on the short. I would look for this almost always in the bearish sense more than the bullish sense. For some reason, it doesn't like that, that buy. But yeah, the trade today on this setup would have been that pullback right there. I don't think we had it on NASDAQ, unfortunately. It did not test that level. Okay, so we're just now getting on NASDAQ, way later on NQ. So here's the NQ one, and it's not as clean. But yeah, typically you want to see, let's say the open's here. You want to see a strong impulse out of the open and a bounce back into VWAP. If you have it like today where we have a strong move up and then it breaks VWAP and then you backtest it, that's perfectly fine. As long as you have that strong impulse below VWAP and then a choppy move back to VWAP. Be a little careful. The stronger the move is back into VWAP, the riskier the trade is, right? So this one was a little risky today because this move is quite strong. Another thing I did not talk about in that short, it's a little too much to go over in the short. What you can do to make the trade a little bit stronger is you can use Fibonacci. So on that impulse, you can grab a Fibonacci from the high of the impulse to the low of the impulse. And if it lines up, if VWAP lines up with one of those fib levels, the 382, the 50, or the 618, it's going to be a stronger trade. In this case, it lined up with that 50. Does that make sense to you guys? Let me know if you have any questions. Very common trade. We've been seeing it quite a lot on NASDAQ, damn near every day. I'd say like every other day you're getting it at least once. Can you please ask what the volume chart is besides my... I think you're referring to this one. This is a ES chart. So it's an ES market profile next to a volume profile. By the way, keep an eye on this sell here, still trending below the EMAs, looking for the gap fill down to 91. Our trade plan has not changed one bit. The one right beside the one on the left. The one to the left. I don't know. You're losing me. I lost you. What on this screen or my trading view screen? So on the right side, we have the market profile, volume profile. This is a DOM, a depth of market. I have the today's full session profile here, and then I have the weekly profile on the right. This one is a 30-minute chart. It's a 30-minute chart with a volume profile of every 30-minute candle, and then a delta ladder on the left side. Yeah, sorry, there's a lot of new viewers here. So for the new viewers, I'll just go over my charts really quickly and then we'll call it a stream. So my charts are as follows. This is an ES 1-minute chart. I have an 8 EMA on the teal line, 24 EMA on the orange line. The dotted VWAP is the full session VWAP. The solid VWAP is the daily VWAP, starts at 9:30. This is a cumulative delta with a 1-hour average, a 60 EMA. This is the identical chart on NASDAQ. Everything I just said is identical. This is a 30-minute footprint. It has a 30-minute volume profile on the right, a 30-minute delta ladder on the left. This is a ES tape filtered for 25 contracts. This is an ES large tape filtered by 100 contracts. This is a Bitcoin tape. I don't really watch this too much. It's just there because Bitcoin's been moving a whole lot. This is an ES DOM, the depth of market. I do not watch level 2. I think it's distracting. This is today's full session profile. This is the weekly profile on the right. And finally, this is a market profile for ES next to a volume profile for ES. This is what's known as the cash profile starting at 9:30. If I ever go back to these screens, this is trading view. These are all of my levels that I watch every day. You have a full session on the white profile and a pre-market profile on the blue profile. And that is it. That's all my charts. But all right, guys, we streamed way over our time today. I'm going to call it. I appreciate you all being here. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time as always. If you guys are in Discord, I'm going to be streaming the rest of the day in Discord. If you guys would like to get Discord access or anything on the website, use code BLACKFRIDAY2024, no spaces, all one word. It will give you 60% off anything on the site. Our Black Friday deal is going to be going until probably the first week of December. If you guys haven't already, be sure to check out our partners. We're partnered up with Apex and Addis. 80% off Apex. Use code BREW. And then Addis has a free trial if you guys want to check them out. But all right, guys. Appreciate you all being here. Hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, everybody.